Every week, Pro Football Weekly's fantasy expert William Dalplar gives you the fantasy matchups to exploit and avoid. We're going to run through a few of them here. Arthur, we start with the running back position. Ryan Grant was basically invisible from the league the last year since his injury. He shows up last week and now a good play.
Yeah, he came up in a big way. Best game of the season by far against the Raiders. 11 touches, 98 total yards, 2 touchdowns. We saw a little bit of that big play burst, had touchdown runs of 47 and 6 yards. Has a nice matchup this week against a Kansas City defense that's been gashed on the ground over the past month. Ryan Grant looking to build on that positive momentum. You might want to get him in your lineup.
And with injuries to the other running backs there in Green Bay, looks like a good play. Similar situation in Houston. We know Andre Johnson has been out most of the season. Now Kevin Walter, good chance to step up this week.
He was TJ Yates' favorite target last week, not only on the game-winning touchdown, but got 10 targets on the day, went for 6 receptions, 76 yards, and a touchdown. He's a solid play. He's nothing that's not a guy that's gonna excite you, but he's underrated, always in the right place, and he's a nice crutch for Yates, particularly with Johnson expected to be on the shelf another week.
Yeah, similar situation also in Oakland. More injuries there to the wide receiver position, and Darrius Heyward-Bey could step up against the Lions.
It's been a roller coaster ride for Darrius Heyward-Bey. There's no question. He looked like he was finally ready to bust out earlier this season, then pulled the disappearing act. He's coming on strong as of late. 11 targets last week. It was a modest outing, only 80 yards, 78 yards receiving. But the Detroit injuries are mounting. The Raiders have a must-win game against the Lions, and they're going to need Darrius Heyward-Bey to come up big against that Knicks secondary in Detroit.
On the flip side of things, the guys to avoid, that Steelers and 49ers game, there's a couple of guys on either side, starting with Rashard Mendenhall. No one runs on that Niners D.
They sure don't, and Mendenhall in particular has been a disappointment this year. He's got an average of 4 touchdowns in the past 4 weeks, but 2 of them came in one game. As I mentioned, he's been a big disappointment. 49ers defense still have not allowed a rushing touchdown this season. It's really remarkable.
Yeah, one of the crazier stats I've seen all year. Michael Crabtree, the wide receiver for the Niners, don't play him this week against the Steelers.
No, we're staying with the same matchup. Crabtree has been solid, building a little momentum the past couple weeks, but the Steelers have been very stout in the secondary this season, and Alex Smith appears to be regressing. Crabtree is probably not your best option at receiver.
Yeah, and Brent Selleck, the tight end for the Eagles. We know Michael Vick is back. We still don't like him this week against the Jets, though.
No, we don't like anyone that's going to be catching the football against the Jets. That includes Selleck. We know that they're banged up at safety, but still Selleck has fallen off a little bit in recent weeks. Even with Vick coming back, we would recommend staying away from him if you have the option.
Those are our matchups to exploit and avoid as you're probably in your fantasy playoffs. For the best fantasy information around, check us out at ProFootballWeekly.com.